Hello and welcome to This is Nigeria, Unlocking Our Potential. This is the program that showcases Nigeria's investment and development opportunities across the 36 states of Nigeria. And today we're looking at the power sector. The power sector has defeated so many and several successive governments in Nigeria. It's a problem we have not been able to fix in the last 60 years. So today we're looking at the causes, effects of that failure on the economy. And we're also taking a look at renewable energy, an alternative energy that can also help us to augment the power sector in Nigeria. My name is mayowaoluwabiyi. Don't go away, stay with us. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Nigeria, Unlocking Her Potential. And on the discuss today is the power sector, the reforms, the challenges, and the alternative for Nigerians in renewable energy. And I have with me to discuss a man whose great passion is renewable energy, and the person of Princemalikadoibrahim, the Managing Director, CEO of NIGUS Engineering, and also a Prince of North Central Nigeria. Stay with us. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you, Mayo.
We have these successive governments over the years, budget in, budget out, heavy, colossal financial misfortune for Nigeria that we have expended on the power sector. How would you shed light on this? Well,
over the last 4 or 5 administrations, we've spent over 2 trillion naira on the power sector. We're not doing anything different. We keep trying to put a band-aid on a huge problem that can cause the failure of a country. You know, the difficulty of focusing on this has been the challenge of successive administrations in this country. It's an African power issue as well. So,
is it African or Nigerian?
Well, it's actually Africa-wide. The amount of electrical penetration into the citizenry on the African continent is terrible. In fact, Nigeria is better than most countries with, I think, over 45% electrical penetration. So we're still stuck at 4,000 to 6,000 megawatts of generated power. We're using antiquated transmission lines. Our discos have been privatized, and there's not enough money to get those things working. I just think we need to have a paradigm shift in the way things happen. We're not doing it right. If we understand that, even if you look at transmission, if the transmission circuit in Nigeria fails, the country's in the dark. We're not looking at this problem with the right kind of precision that's necessary. And I think that when you put a lawyer in as a minister of power, you're going to have problems. You wouldn't have your gate man come and operate on you as a surgeon in the hospital. So why aren't we putting the right kind of people in the right kind of, a square in a square? Let's just call it that way. That's where leadership needs to come from. We need to see people that are enlightened, understand the problem, and can prefer solutions.
So it's a failure of leadership.
It's a failure of leadership, it's a failure of foresight, because if we keep going down the same path, most countries are shifting, the advanced nations are shifting to renewable power. Yes, for ecological ways, for trying to have this global warming solution. Nigeria, for some reason, should and can have the ability to be at the forefront of that as an African nation. We've got amazing topography to be able to do that. We have wind corridors in the northwest. We have irradiation in places like Borno State and Adamawa that are beyond. We're in the Sahara. We've got heat. We have the ability to do geothermal power, but we're still transfixed and focused on this turbine power that is going to be the ruin of this nation. If you want to stay there, we can't get rid of it, but we should have an energy mix. Renewables should play a very strong part in this. Thermal power can play a strong part in this. The wind can play. We've got dams all over the country. I think we've got over 100 dams in Nigeria. We have nuclear power in the north. People don't know we're a nuclear nation. We are a responsible nuclear powered nation, Nigeria is. And we are not leading in that way. I'm afraid that if we keep putting, well, let me rephrase it. If we put younger people into the position of power, we are going to get more up-to-date, more modern solutions. If we could keep looking backwards or putting the wrong person in that position, we're not going to develop as a nation. And we need power for technology, for this digital economy.
Persons as in old people?
Yeah, so I think age plays a part in this because, you know, you give a young kid today an iPad and you give somebody of a older generation that iPad, that kid will run circles around that person. We really need to focus on regional solutions. The North has the ability to take the sun and harness it. The South has the hydrocarbons. We need to have that energy mix of what do we do? How do we put clean energy onto the grid in Nigeria? And if it's not onto the grid, localize that grid. Renewables only. Focus on what we can do to turn around the tide and create that future expectation for our kids where we can use the blessing of today, the knowledge of today, and say that this administration set that path. We started on it and we derailed ourselves. We need to get back on that path as quickly as possible.
So what do you think? This administration recently has signed a deal, how many billions?
$2 billion, yes.
With Siemens.
Yes.
Do you see a final solution to the problem? That deal?
I wish I was not the doomsday reporter, but I just don't see how this can work. We have the Mambila deal for 3,500 megawatts that's been in the works for successive governments. The Siemens $2 billion deal, well, we can assess that, but let's be quite frank. The core problem that Nigeria has is getting power to the people. The old political adage for Africa, in order to stay in power, give your people power. And I think that we've had some missteps. Let's be very frank, this administration came in with the idea of having a power mix that would have traditional power, renewable power. The intentions were fantastic. We were one of the companies that jumped on the boat to provide power. We took 2 states on, Adamawa, Katsina. There were a lot of very good intentions at the time. The NBET was providing adequate power purchase agreements. We thought we were going to go on a completely different path. And that idea of a power mix still rings true today, but we have kind of jumped off that path for some reason. 4 years ago or so, we signed these deals and not one of them is operational. What
happened? What was the crux of the matter?
Well, if you ask people in government, they say that the power purchase agreement was too high, and the price had to come down. We went from 11 cents to 9 cents to 7 cents. You've just got to put a line in the sand and say, let's give the people what the people deserve, and we deserve power. It's insane for anybody to think that they can make a success out of any business that they do, when the first thing you do when you get your office is to buy a generator.
Are you suggesting that there is a cabal behind that generator?
Well, I mean, the interesting thing is that everybody says that, but the truth is without them, we don't survive. The government can't provide. If you can't give them bread, you got to give them cake. And that's the issue. So the generator is an essential part of what we do. If power was already available, that would die away by itself.
So what African solution is NIGUS Engineering bringing to the table?
Well, I started this journey in about 2007 when I was an undersecretary at the United Nations for a company called IREO, so we were an intergovernmental renewable energy agency. And when I looked at the situation that Africa had, it was very clear to me that we're blessed with all this sunshine. Why aren't we utilizing it in the best possible way? When I left that position, I started working with 2 partners on design for hybrid power systems utilizing the sun. And part of our solution is to use solar as a fuel and use lithium-ion batteries as a generator and storage system. And so we created a company called BIC Energy, BIC meaning best in class. And that product that we designed and we keep fine-tuning is an Africanized solution. We compete with companies like Tesla and Mercedes-Benz on their power solutions, and we've been in competition with these companies over the last 5 years, and have come up on top of late with some of the Africanized solutions that we have.
Okay. So what do you see a private sector, public sector partnership working in that direction?
Well, if you look at all the funds that are out there, whether it's AfriExim, Africa Development Bank, Africa Finance Corporation, CBN, there's a lot of people that are saying they're going to give you money to do this and that. You can throw enough money at the problems without the right solution, you get nothing. They're solution providers. Let's focus on what those solutions are. These are things that are like big energy. We are going around the world proudly Nigerian. We emblazon that on our technology everywhere we go. I designed to build a system that is working in other countries, but as the saying goes, a prophet is never welcome in its own village. So we never get to see. We're very lucky. NDPHC took a punt with us and said, you know what? Can you provide energy to Edo State and Ondo State? The leadership there was very wise, in my feeling, that they gave us an opportunity to show.
Why did they choose Edo and Ondo State? Is that supposed to be a pilot project?
I think, yes, it was a pilot project with UNOPS and the state governments. It was a tripartite deal, and they looked at different technologies, and they chose us. We worked this with a company called PowerCell, because we're an OEM. We produced a product that has significantly changed places like Ibokoda in Edo State, in Ondo State. And in Edo State, we even with the Corona centers that we're putting there, we've got our power units providing 24-hour power there. This was a bold step to take, and I wish federal government would take those sort of bold steps on a more grander scale and let some of us that have the insight provide solutions and lead. We don't need $2 billion going out to Siemens. Okay, give them $1 billion, but let the other
do it's $1 billion.
Well, we would be a different company. We'd be a unicorn. But I think that the thinking that we should be having, and I'm praying that it's leadership. If the leadership is there and it encourages, you will see phenomenal innovation comes from Nigerians. If this digital technology or digital economy that the government's talking about is to play, and to play on a global scale, we need to focus on these sort of cluster solutions, powering estates, taking power off the grid, having cluster solutions where we can deliver power to Maitama using batteries and having the grid just charge those batteries. So the countries are doing this. Australia has done it, the UK has it, Germany has it. This technology is alive and well in Nigeria.
What capacity would you need to power like Maitama?
Well, quite easily you could put 10 megawatts of storage. That's basically 10 containers, 10 40-foot containers at a substation, and you would have an immediate effect, because that power that was supposed to be going to Maitama, if you put it on a smart grid, that power can go somewhere else. When you know that those storage units are down on their discharge, you bring the power back on to recharge, and you'd have that very smart cycle between Asokoro, Maitama, or if we're in Lagos, Ikoyi, Apapa, you would be able to just move the power so that it's actually charging these batteries. That's a smart solution. These are things we can do if the innovative minds are called to the table by the federal government. And as I said, we need a Marshall Plan for power. We cannot be insane and keep doing the same things over and over again looking for a different result. It is just not going to happen.
So what about the smaller industries? How do we help them?
Well, the funny thing about power for industry is we're a country that works on daytime. We don't work at night typically. So everything runs till 6 or 7 or 8, and then everybody goes off. And that's because of power. If power was a flat line and we understood that it was constant power and we weren't using our generator or diesel, we would see better productivity. Our economies of scale would be much better. Our solution allows, whether you're a small-scale industry or a large-scale industry, to be able to have that kind of consistent power. We work almost like a UPS for industry. So if you imagine if you're a plastics business and you are running off the grid and the power goes off, whatever is in your plastic smelting production is going to fail. You'd have to go in and scrub all that out. So what we do is we act as a UPS. We stand before the industry between them and the power source. When the power goes up, we're able to work like a UPS and then give them that peace of mind that when the grid comes back on, or the time it takes for your generator to come up to power, this solution has been able to give you better productivity. And that's an inexpensive way, because all that costs money. There's time wasted, and the fact that you lost a lot of raw materials during that process of a shutdown. So we see that our technology works either as full-time power or can work as a UPS for industry.
We'll go on a short break.
So basically, this is a solar-powered water pump. We're able to use the solar panel as a singular device to attract the irradiation from the sun and power a water pump. This particular unit will do anything between 1,500 and 2,000 liters per hour of water. Well, we've been in discussions with Ministry of Agriculture to see what we can do with subsidizing this, or even doing a sort of an Uber for power type project where we give them on a need to use basis. The ministry can then give them out when the farmers are using them, or even do a lease project where they can lease the acquisition of these products. Basically, our idea was to try to find something that works like a generator. And we utilize the sun power for irradiation and charging purposes, and lithium-ion batteries. So we have some very spectacular solar panels here that are completely different than most panels, because they do not, shadows do not affect the functionality of the panels. 3 hours of charging, 9 hours of power. The system is designed so that it's portable. With the forklift, you're able to lift the system up and deliver it to where it needs to be delivered. Here we have the equivalent of 70 kilowatt hours of battery power, and it uses a hybrid system. So primary source of power is solar, secondary source will be a generator or the grid, or all three in combination. So this allows us to have full utilization of the batteries. And here you'll see that we have an inverter that's converting that solar power and energy into the grid. We've also been able to isolate the system so that we can provide for metering into probably villages or clusters that we need to. This is a Nigerian-made product. The capex of this product is somewhat higher, probably about 15 to 20% higher than a standard generator. Over the next couple of years, we're going to be able to bring the cost down to be at par with a generator, and that's when we're going to see significant uptake in the utilization of this sort of technology. This is completely online. We have an app that allows us to be able to see the functionality of the system. Typically on these units, there are 8 years of warranty on the system. The solar panels are 25 years of warranty. So this system, you're looking 10 years typically off the grid. If there's any maintenance work, we tend to see it before the customer does. And because it's a battery, it's replaceable. So you're not looking for maintenance, you're looking more at replaceable technology here. So our service mentality is that of replace then repair. So we get to our customers back on the grid as quickly as possible.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Nigeria. And we're talking power sector reforms, power failure in Nigeria, successive governments. And we've been talking with the MD of NIGUS Engineering, Princemalikadoibrahim. So I saw your product downstairs, the 70 megawatts, 70
kilowatt.
And it's quite innovative. How are the states responding to that?
Well, I'm really proud to say that the federal capital, the ministry for FCT and the Minister of State have looked at some of the solutions we had. They saw what we did in Edo State. And we're looking at some of the mainstay things. There's a Light Up Abuja project that the minister Aliyu, Minister of State, has grasped. And we're at the forefront of that, looking at how we take street lights, schools, hospitals off the grid and provide these solutions like you saw downstairs that are 24-hour power. They're very sustainable elements. They don't need a tremendous amount of footprint to be able to put that. That's a 2 by 2 meter container that can provide 70 kilowatts hour of power on a 24-hour basis. That's huge. It's huge.
That's good. So you've said there are several awards your company has won. Okay, all right, tell us about some of the awards that you've won with big energy.
Well, I think I'm prouder of the fact that as a Nigerian company, we've gone to the outside world and we've shown that we are an innovative company. We're Nigerian born and bred. So we've competed even in the UAE over the last 3 years. We've gone in for energy prizes. We've got the United Nations Award. We've got Power Nigeria in 2018. We demonstrated our product there. In fact, the cube you saw outside was first demonstrated there, and we wowed the whole public that were there. Where we are looking to convert those awards is in practical daytime, lifetime changes. Whether you're a mobile phone company that's got a mast in a remote area, you need a generator to make that cell tower work. We're able to drop this sort of technology there, and your cost of running that tower is diminished tremendously. So it's just applying our solutions to different problems, and that's where I think more awards will be won.
Okay. So what do you think is responsible for this fixation on the same method, the same way over the years?
I have an opinion, and it's only my opinion. Okay. And I think that we keep placing our bets on these dinosaurs, GE, Siemens. Yes, they've been part of our infrastructure and they stayed part of our infrastructure, and we can't do without them. And they know that we can't do without them. Okay, fine. If we assess the fact that we know we cannot, then let's look at a separate and parallel business that we can do in this country, and that's renewables. If the minister is focused on the GE solution, then Siemens is going to suffer. If Siemens is the company du jour, then the others will suffer. We can't be played like that. We need to open up everything. The other nations are doing just that. If you go to the Norwegian Sovereign Wealth Fund, or the British, or the Emiratis, companies like Mazda, in the middle of the desert, Mazda is producing more power than the country can even use itself, and that's solar only. So we're not any different. We look to Dubai and the UAE as countries for immense future value, when we can do the same thing ourselves. And as I said, the prophet is never welcome in his own village. And that's where companies like myself, as I said, there are 3 or 4 other companies that I can name that are doing exactly the same thing. They have the foresight, but without the environment to do that, without the government giving you the pathway to do that, without allowing us to get into the system, we'll never know what our capabilities are. And of course, we'll go elsewhere, but Nigeria suffers for that.
So what advice would you give to the Nigerian government?
Well, I think we've gone off the tracks a little bit. The initial approach was one that was significant. Renewable energy was going to be focused on, as I said, 14 companies, KVK, NIGUS, Oriental. We all got into this pool, and we decided to pick different states. We took Katsina and Adamawa. I think Oriental took Jigawa, KVKs in Sokoto, some in the south. There's a lot of very interesting ideas came to play. There isn't a singular solution on renewables. We have the Green Wall in Kano. We have a lot of initiatives. Nigeria is a signatory to the Paris Accord. But since then, we haven't done anything. Intentions are great, but we need to execute on those intentions. In the south, this oil and gas. Yes, we have to mine that to be able to refine it to get fuel. But in the north, we're blessed with the radiation, tremendous sunshine. Why aren't we harvesting that natural energy and turning it into the same kind of power, so that we are part of the energy mix, not one controlling the other or one bettering the other. There's a hand-in-glove effect that we can have by utilizing the renewable energy. And the truth be told, that's a phenomenal way of creating jobs and employment in the north. And we're ignoring some of these things, and that's why government needs to refocus. We need to refocus on renewables. Renewables are a very quick way to provide power. The Siemens deal is going to take 4 to 5 years to actually see the benefits. But what are we doing? We're just amending a problem. When we're not building anything new. Mambila has been taking more than 10 years to get going. We haven't done anything. 100 megawatts goes up in 6 to 8 months. 6 to 8 months. These things are going to take 4 to 5 years. If there was a Marshall Plan for power, if the government was really serious and said, you know, you guys, if you build it, we will buy it, you will see entrepreneurs jump in, like we did with those 14 companies that jumped in. But the reality is that government didn't follow through, as well meaning as the Fashola administration in the power sector was. It did not live up to its billing. It in fact disappointed.
Congratulations for all the awards.
Thank you.
And we hope that you will achieve much more the next few years.
Amen.
Thank you for coming on to the program.
Thank you, Mayowa.
Well, it's a wrap on This is Nigeria, Unlocking Her Potential. And we've been talking about the power sector in Nigeria. Why would we spend so much money and Nigerians still remain in darkness? And we also spoke with the MD of NIGUS Engineering, offering us the possibilities in renewable and alternative energy. And I think it's time Nigeria begins to look in that direction. Thank you for watching. My name is mayowaoluwabiyi. God bless Nigeria.